Welcome back to the Deep Dive. So if you've been with us on our journey into tokenized real estate, we've really spent a lot of time on the fundamentals.
We have. We've talked about fractional ownership, how you can own a piece of a building across the world.
Right, and the incredible global access this whole model unlocks. And critically, we've also looked at the risks. You know, when brick and mortar meets the blockchain, we really focused on that foundation.
And today, we're shifting focus. We're moving from that foundation to the fruits of the investment. We are setting aside all the market hype, all the speculative trading talks.
Yeah, let's put that aside.
And we are zeroing in on the measurable reward. Our mission today is laser focused on income, the actual quantifiable cash flow and yield that this asset class is really designed to deliver.
Okay, let's unpack this then, because our sources detail exactly how this income flows. And it's not just that it flows, but the way it flows, the frequency, the transparency that the tech enables.
That's the key. The core principle isn't new real estate generates income, but tokenization fundamentally alters the plumbing.
The plumbing, I like that.
It's the systems and structures of how money actually moves from a tenant in a physical building into your digital wallet, no matter where you are in the world.
Exactly, because a lot of newcomers, I think, they see tokenization and immediately think capital appreciation.
The classic buy low, sell high.
Right, but for centuries, sophisticated real estate investment has been built on something else entirely. It's been built on the reliability of consistent recurring income.
Precisely. We need to understand that the goal here is creating a working asset, a predictable machine that pays you.
So our job today is, I guess, twofold. First, we need to break down exactly how these properties generate that net income, and you've outlined three main models for us.
That's right.
And second, and this is maybe the most important part, we need to provide you, the learner, with that critical, actionable checklist. The questions you absolutely must ask before investing to make sure that the promised cash flow is actually reliable.
And that the technology behind it is secure. We have to confront the weaknesses, the bridge between the physical and the digital.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's start with the most fundamental definition. Because with all this, blockchain wizardry, the core math of profitability, it's still rooted in traditional finance.
It has to be.
Cash flow, in this context, is simply the money a property generates after all the necessary non-negotiable operating expenses have been paid. So we are talking about net income.
Not gross income.
Absolutely not gross income.
And that distinction is so crucial. Because the gross income, the total rent you collect, that's the big flashy number you see in the marketing materials, right?
It's headline number.
It is, but it's a fluffy, almost meaningless number until you subtract the reality of actually owning a building. So what are these necessary deductions that get us from that big gross figure down to the net income that actually hits your wallet?
They are the unavoidable costs. You just can't get around them. So we start with the total rent or revenue collected. From that, we deduct property taxes, which can and do fluctuate.
Based on local assessments, yeah.
Right. Then you have insurance premiums, which are non-negotiable. You have management fees, paid to the company that's actually overseeing the physical asset. And critically, both routine maintenance and preventative maintenance costs.
And I'd imagine for commercial assets, it gets even more complex. You have to account for things like utilities, landscaping, common area upkeep.
It's not a simple calculation at all. It requires really diligent accounting, especially when those unexpected costs pop up.
Like a sudden spike in property taxes or an emergency repair, a burst pipe.
Exactly. So that net income figure is what truly defines the asset's financial health. It's completely separate from the speculative value of the land or the building itself.
So let's use an example. If you have a multifamily property, it brings in, say, $200,000 in annual gross rent, but $80,000 of that goes out to cover all those operational costs you just listed.
Then your net income is $120,000. That $120,000 is the distributable pool of cash flow. That's the number that actually determines your yield.
Okay, so once we've defined that pool of money, the $120K, we get to the core mechanism of distribution. And this is where the source material really emphasizes that sort of the simple elegance of the token model.
The mechanism is just pure proportionality.
Yeah.
It's a principle carried over from traditional limited partnerships, but here it's delivered with cryptographic clarity. The net income pool is divided among every token holder, strictly based on their proportional ownership share.
So if I own 0.01% of the total tokens for a specific apartment complex,
you receive 0.01% of that net income.
full stop, no questions asked.
Full stop. The token is the digital receipt of your ownership stake in the legal entity, which is usually a special purpose vehicle that holds the physical title to the property.
I see. So that structure ties my digital asset, my token, directly and automatically to the real-world financial performance of the building.
Exactly. There are no, arbitrary structures, no different classes of shares with different payout rules. The math is fixed by the proportion of tokens you hold. It's clean.
Okay, that makes perfect sense mechanically. But now we have to talk about the biggest weakness, which is also the biggest reward, the reliance on that technological bridge. We've got the division mechanism down. Now let's talk about the tokenization game changer, automation and frequency.
Right.
In the legacy financial world, getting that $120,000 distributed to, say, 1,000 different investors would be a nightmare.
Oh, it's a mountain of administrative work. It costs time, it costs money, it's prone to error.
And that entire manual overhead is what smart contract automation is designed to eliminate. This is the radical efficiency game that really defines tokenized real estate.
It is. The smart contracts, they automate the entire distribution process. They completely eliminate the need for those expensive, error-prone human intermediaries.
So no more quarterly bank transfers. No more waiting a month for the property manager's reconciliation reports to finalize. No more cutting physical checks.
That's the vision, and for many platforms, that's the reality. The smart contract acts as the infallible administrator. It maintains this real-time, tamper-proof registry of all the token owners and their exact proportional share.
And when the money is ready to be sent out,
when the net income is ready for distribution, and it's usually been converted from fiat currency into stablecoins, the contract gets triggered. It just executes the distribution instantly, according to its pre-coded, audited rules.
And that speed, that leads directly to this huge shift in distribution frequency. Traditional real estate, you get paid quarterly, if you're lucky, maybe monthly.
Right, and that cycle is necessary because of all the manual reconciliation and the bank clearing times. It just takes time.
But with automation, those delays just evaporate.
They do. Our sources highlight a really dramatic shift here, where income distribution can now happen weekly, monthly, or even in some cases daily.
See, the idea of receiving daily micro-dividends from my tiny little stake in an office building somewhere, that's genuinely compelling. It gives you instant feedback on your investment.
It does.
But I have to inject a critical challenge here. I mean, it sounds amazing in theory, but doesn't processing all those little micro-distributions every single day generate higher gas fees? Or some other administrative friction for the platform that ultimately just reduces my net payout?
That is a crucial and absolutely necessary question to ask.
Are we just paying high transaction costs for the novelty of speed?
The answer really lies in the choice of blockchain network and the efficiency of the smart contract deployment.
Yeah.
So reputable platforms, they generally use what are called layer 2 solutions or specific blockchains that are designed for extremely low transaction costs. Think Polygon or even dedicated enterprise chains.
So the fees are tiny.
They're tiny. By distributing stable coins, the gas fee per transaction is typically fractions of a cent. Or they can batch thousands of transactions together to minimize the overall cost.
Okay, so what you're saying is the efficiency gain from cutting out the human accountants, the quarterly compliance officers, the expensive wire transfer fees, that far outweighs the tiny little gas fee from the daily smart contract.
Precisely. The goal is to substitute that traditional high-cost administrative layer, which often, takes 1 or 2% of the operating capital, with a minimal cost, transparent technological layer.
And you get higher capital utility.
You do, because you're receiving your funds constantly, rather than waiting for a big lump sum every 3 months. This ability to deliver these fractional, continuous income streams, moving from that slow quarterly cycle of legacy finance to near real-time distribution. That is a foundational change in the investor experience. It's what turns real estate from a static investment into a truly dynamic source of yield.
Okay, so we understand the automated proportional mechanism, but now we really need to recognize that not all income is created equal. Different properties generate income in fundamentally different ways, and that creates very different risk profiles for you as an investor. The sources clearly categorize these returns.
And understanding these types of yield is really step one in defining your investment strategy. We can categorize them into 3 main buckets. Rental yield, which is that classic cash flow.
Right.
Then there's revenue share yield, which directly links your payment to the business performance. And finally, appreciation yield, which is purely your capital gain.
Let's start with rental yield. This seems like the most straightforward model. It's the backbone of stable real estate investment.
It is. Rental yield is the most common and generally the most predictable. The underlying asset, we're talking a residential building, a standard warehouse, a stabilized office park, it operates on fixed, long-term lease agreements.
Tenants pay a fixed rent every month or year.
Exactly. After all those operating expenses we detailed earlier are deducted, the remaining net income is just distributed directly to the token holders.
So this is the asset that appeals to the income-focused investor, right? Someone who wants stability over maybe dramatic growth potential.
Absolutely. The stability is the defining characteristic here. You're essentially purchasing a predictable stream of income. It's similar in a way to owning a high-quality corporate bond, but it's secured by a physical asset.
And the risk profile is mostly about vacancy.
Primarily linked to vacancy rates and how effective the property management is. The yield calculation is simple. It's your annual net income divided by the total value of the asset.
Okay, let's move on to the second type, revenue share yield. This feels inherently riskier, more dynamic. The income isn't fixed, it floats based on business success.
It does.
Where do we typically find this model in the tokenized space?
So this yield is typically found in commercial properties where the asset's performance is tightly interwoven with the operational success of the businesses inside it.
Okay, like what?
Think of large-scale retail centers or hotels, specialized medical facilities, even large-scale storage facilities. Instead of a fixed rent, your yield comes from receiving a pre-agreed percentage of the total revenue generated by that commercial operator.
Wow, that radically changes the risk equation. If the local tourism industry collapses, the hotel's revenue plummets.
And the token holder's yield plummets right along with it.
Right.
See, unlike a fixed rental yield, where your main risk as an investor is the space being empty vacancy with a revenue share yield, you, the investor, assume the risk of the operating business underperforming.
But the upside could be huge.
Precisely. The distribution is calculated based on a percentage of the gross operating revenue. So if that asset performs exceptionally well, the upside for you as an investor is far greater than what a fixed lease would ever allow.
So this is a higher risk, potentially higher reward income stream. The investor is basically taking a sort of quasi-equity stake in the operational success of the business that's just occupying the building.
That's a great way to put it.
So how does a platform clearly signal the difference between the stability of fixed rent and this, dynamism of performance-based revenue to a new token buyer?
Transparency in the initial offering documents is absolutely key. The platform has to explicitly detail the lease agreement. Is it a fixed gross lease, a modified gross lease, or a percentage lease?
Investors should be looking for specific terms then.
Yes. Look for terms like percentage rent or turnover rent. If the yield projection you're looking at includes this massive upward volatility potential, it is almost certainly a revenue share model. And that demands much deeper due diligence from you into the local market dynamics that are driving that specific business.
Got it. Okay, finally we get to appreciation yield. This is the capital event. It's fundamentally different from the first two, which are recurring income streams.
That's correct. Appreciation yield is the upside that's realized when the underlying property's market value increases over the time you hold it. This is capital gain, not operational cash flow. It's what really defines your long-term total return on investment.
And the sources detail two primary trigger events for token holders to actually realize this value. So, when exactly do you get paid your share of that appreciation?
So the first trigger is refinancing. Let's say the property has appreciated significantly, maybe due to market inflation or a successful renovation. The asset manager might go out and secure a new, larger mortgage based on that higher valuation.
And that frees up capital.
Exactly. A portion of the surplus capital generated by that refinancing can be distributed as a special dividend to token holders. This gives you a return on that capital gain without having to actually sell the asset.
That's a powerful tool. It lets investors pull value out of the appreciating asset without liquidating their position entirely.
It is. The second and far more common trigger event is when the property is actually sold.
The big exit.
The big exit. When the entire asset is liquidated, all the outstanding debts are paid off, and the remaining capital, the appreciation over the original purchase price, that gets distributed proportionally. This is your lump sum capital gain payout.
So an investor could theoretically enjoy, say, 5 years of stable rental yield distributions flowing into their wallet daily, and then boom, receive a massive one-time appreciation yield payout when the asset is finally sold.
That's the ideal scenario.
And the tokenization technology has to be flexible enough to handle all these diverse income streams, both the recurring ones and the one-off episodic ones, through that same automated pipe.
And that's really the synthesis point. Tokenization doesn't invent the financial nature of these three yields. It just standardizes and dramatically accelerates their distribution. It creates a unified, transparent pipe for what are otherwise very diverse income events.
And understanding that helps you, the learner, match your investment choice to your financial goals. If you need high predictability for your expenses, you focus on rental yield.
But if you're focused on long-term wealth accumulation, you have to factor in that potential appreciation yield.
Okay, let's move to the technical plumbing that is supposed to make this whole system trustworthy. The transparency engine. We really need to follow the cash from the tenant's hand in the physical world to the investor's digital wallet. This is where the legal and the technical structures have to overlap perfectly.
Mapping this flow is absolutely key to investor confidence. We can break it down into a 4-step process, but first, let's just solidify the role of the legal intermediary here, the special purpose vehicle, or SPV.
Yes, please elaborate on that. The legal function of the SPV. Why is this regulatory firewall so critical?
So the SPV is typically a limited liability company, or maybe a trust, that's created for one reason and one reason only: to own that single asset. It is the essential regulatory firewall.
What does it protect against?
The SPV legally isolates the physical property from the financial health and the potential liabilities of the tokenization platform itself.
Yes.
So if the platform goes bankrupt.
The worst case scenario.
Right. The SPV still legally owns the building, and the token holder's proportional rights to that asset and its income stream are protected. Now, the automation mechanism might be temporarily disrupted, but your ownership is secure.
That protection is vital. So you're replacing trust in the platform with legal trust in the asset's actual legal owner.
Precisely.
Okay, so with the SPV established as the holder, let's go back to that cash flow process. Step 1.
Step 1. The property generates physical income. Rent or revenue is collected conventionally, usually a wire transfer or a deposit from the management company. This is fiat currency: pounds, euros, dollars.
Then step 2. The income is received by the legal entity. The SPV has its own dedicated bank account. It receives that fiat income. It pays all those operational expenses we talked about, taxes, maintenance fees, and it calculates the final verified net income pool. This is the moment of truth for the asset's performance.
Now comes the bridge into the digital world. The net fiat income is converted into the required distribution currency.
Which is usually a stablecoin.
Usually.
This conversion is handled by the platform, often working with regulated custodians or stablecoin issuers. This is where the funds become digital, typically USDC or USDT, and they're ready to be managed by the smart contract.
Okay, now here's the crucial pivot for me. I worry about manipulation at step 2. How can we be absolutely sure that the input data, that final net income figure, wasn't fudged or manipulated before it ever hit the smart contract? Where is the audit trail before the on-chain distribution even begins? I mean, this is the classic Oracle problem in blockchain, isn't it? Getting reliable, real-world data onto the chain.
That is the single most important critical question that you, the learner, must ask. Because you're right, the calculation of net income happens off-chain. It happens in the real world with accountants and bank statements. So the system has to employ external assurance.
So what's the solution?
The solution is a requirement for third-party attestation or audit.
Meaning the platform can't just type in a number themselves. Exactly. Reputable platforms will utilize third-party accounting firms, sometimes even Big Four firms, to verify the SPV's financials. They certify the true net income figure.
And that verified figure is then securely submitted to the smart contract.
Yes, often using a decentralized Oracle service to prevent any single point of manipulation. And that attestation report, ideally, should be viewable by all the token holders. The platform should only control the distribution mechanism, the smart contract, not the input data, the certified net income.
Okay, that layer of independent scrutiny builds the trust that the blockchain then executes upon. That makes sense. So if that input data is verifiable, we move to step 3.
Step 3, smart contracts calculate and allocate each token holder's precise share automatically. Once those verified digital funds, the stablecoins, are in the treasury wallet, the smart contract just executes its coded logic. It reads the blockchain ledger to know the exact ownership proportions in real time. It requires zero manual input for the calculation.
It's a deterministic machine. The logic is fixed, it's been audited, and the output is guaranteed based on the verified input. No risk of human error or, favoritism in the allocation.
And finally, step 4. The funds are distributed instantly and automatically to the connected digital wallets. The stablecoins are transacted from the SPV's treasury wallet directly to your wallet address, executing in minutes, regardless of whether you're in Tokyo or Toronto.
The sources really emphasize the power of this automation and auditability. Let's try to quantify the efficiency gains. In a traditional real estate syndication, you've got acquisition fees, asset management fees, general partner fees. They might collectively siphon off, 2 to 4% of the operating income before it ever reaches an investor?
That's right, and that's where the yield uplift comes from. By using smart contracts, the system drastically reduces these administrative costs. The contract essentially replaces the expensive legal and accounting staff who are dedicated to reconciling hundreds of investors.
So if a platform can cut that 2% administrative overhead down to, say, 0.5% in platform fees plus negligible gas fees,
that 1.5% difference flows directly back to you, the investor, as higher net yield. The lower cost structure is a direct, quantifiable benefit of the technology.
And what about the transparency aspect? One source called this level of visibility unheard of in traditional real estate.
I'd agree with that. The entire distribution process is a public transaction on the blockchain ledger. An investor can and should look up the transaction hash on a public block explorer like Etherscan or Polygon Scan and verify that the precise total distribution amount left the SPV wallet at the exact time and date that was advertised.
So you're not relying on some delayed, glossy, quarterly PDF statement that shows up in your email.
No, you have cryptographic proof in real time.
This level of granular visibility, it really eliminates information asymmetry. It's a fundamental shift in the power dynamic. It puts you, the investor, on equal footing with the platform manager when it comes to financial transparency.
Okay, we have to transition now to the necessary counterweight to all this powerful technology. We have to talk about the risks.
The other side of the coin.
Exactly. Automation optimizes the payment process, but it cannot fix a flawed underlying asset or an insecure technological platform. You, the learner, must understand where the vulnerabilities lie.
Let's begin with the core real estate risk, which is, I think, magnified by the ease of global access, the health of the asset itself.
Right. Risk number 1 is unstable or unpredictable income. This directly relates to the vacancy rate. Real estate income is a function of tenant payments. If the property loses tenants, the yield drops, sometimes catastrophically.
So an investor has to go beyond just the current occupancy rate. You have to examine the tenant profile and the lease structure.
You absolutely do. For instance, in commercial real estate, there's a massive difference between a gross lease and what's called a triple net lease, or NNN.
Okay, break that down for us. How do those structures affect the token holder's income risk?
It's a key detail. In a gross lease, the landlord, and therefore the token holders, pays all the operating expenses. So taxes, insurance, and maintenance. If those expenses spike unexpectedly,
your net cash flow immediately decreases.
Immediately. In a triple net lease, NNN, the tenant is responsible for paying all of those operating expenses directly. This structure shifts the expense risk away from you, the token holder, and provides a much more stable and predictable net cash flow.
Often at the cost of a slightly lower gross rent, I imagine?
That's the trade-off. But investors in tokenized commercial assets should actively look for those NNN structures if they're prioritizing stability.
That is a vital piece of due diligence. Okay, next, we have to address the unique challenge of the technological environment itself. Risk number 2, platform dependency.
This is a critical infrastructure risk. It's a single point of failure in the distribution chain. That automatic daily cash flow we're so excited about relies entirely on the platform, maintaining the function of its smart contracts and managing that legal SPV.
So if the platform suffers a massive security breach, or gets shut down by regulators, or there's a catastrophic bug in the smart contract, the automation just stops.
It stops, dead in its tracks. In that scenario, while your underlying asset might still be legally protected inside the SPV, that instantaneous access to your income, it vanishes.
And investors are back to the old, slow, manual process of legal proceedings to access their funds.
Which completely negates the liquidity and speed benefits of tokenization in the first place. It's a risk of operational and financial friction. The platform is the bridge, and if the bridge fails, investors are stranded. Your due diligence here has to extend beyond the asset to the security and longevity of the organization running the tokenization.
Global access is a massive reward, but it also introduces risk number 3, currency risk or FX exposure. We need a concrete example here to make this tangible for the listener.
Okay, let's imagine a U.S. investor. You buy a tokenized share of a luxury apartment building in Europe, which collects all its rent in euros. The asset performs perfectly. It generates 1,000 euros in net income for your share.
Okay.
That 1,000 euros has to be converted into a stable coin, let's say USDC, before it's distributed to you.
And let's assume the exchange rate when you bought the token was €1 to $1.10.
Okay, so in that ideal scenario, your 1,000 euros converts to $1,100, which is distributed as 1,100 USDC. That's the yield you expected.
No.
But let's say over the next 6 months, due to some macroeconomic instability, the euro weakens by 10% against the dollar. The new exchange rate is €1 to $1.
The property itself still generated that same 1,000 euros.
It did. But now that 1,000 euros only converts to $1,000. Even though the building's local performance was perfectly stable, your distribution when you measure it in your home currency, USD, has dropped by $100. That's about a 9% hit.
So you, the investor, are entirely exposed to the volatility of the USD exchange rate.
Entirely. That risk has to be factored into your overall yield expectation for any cross-border asset you're looking at.
That makes the risk perfectly clear. The stability of the rental income can be completely undermined by currency volatility if there's a conversion required.
And finally, we have to address risk number 4, maintenance reserves. This is a red flag that speaks volumes about a project's financial planning or lack thereof.
Right, the necessity of saving for those future major repairs. The new roof, the HVAC system's foundational work. If a project fails to set aside a sufficient financial buffer, the token holders are the ones who are going to pay when the unexpected happens.
Think of a property with no reserves, like an individual who owns an expensive car, but never saves any money for new tires or brake pads or an eventual engine repair.
That person is financially sound only until the moment of inevitable failure.
The consequence in real estate is exactly the same. The token holders face surprise deductions from their income.
How large should this reserve typically be, and why is this lack of planning such a major red flag?
A well-managed project, especially for an older asset, will typically allocate somewhere between 10 to 15% of the gross income into a dedicated, segregated reserve account just for capital expenditures.
So if a platform's projections show a really high net yield because they're allocating 0 to reserves,
that advertised yield is essentially fraudulent. It's not sustainable, because when that roof needs replacing, the property manager will have no choice but to draw from the operating capital, the money that was intended for distribution. And you, the token holders, will see your expected income slashed without any warning. Diligence here prevents a huge financial shock down the road.
Okay, we have thoroughly cataloged the risks. Now let's connect all these technical mechanics back to the massive value proposition. Why are investors increasingly drawn to these tokenized real estate income streams over, say, traditional methods or even other crypto yield products?
It's really about leveraging the best of both worlds. You're combining the proven stability of a real-world asset with the speed and efficiency of decentralized finance architecture.
Reward number 1 has to be predictability. It's the bedrock of real estate.
Absolutely. Real estate income is stable and it's recurring. It provides a genuine shelter during market volatility. Unlike speculative crypto yields, which are often based on really complex collateralization mechanisms or, inflationary tokenomics,
right,
real estate income comes from a fixed contractual payment, rent. This provides an essential anchor asset for investors who are seeking reliable cash flow that is uncorrelated with the wild swings of the crypto bull and bear cycles.
And reward number 2 is that automation benefit, which we can now see is a direct boost to yield.
By using smart contracts to manage the distribution, we eliminate those high administrative and management fees that are associated with traditional private equity real estate funds. As we discussed, substituting that expensive human reconciliation with self-executing code just means the money you save on overhead flows straight into your pocket,
resulting in a higher effective yield rate.
Right. And plus, the elimination of payment delays gives you instant utility for your capital. Reward number 3, global access. This is the geographical boundary dissolver.
It really is. It breaks down these previously insurmountable barriers of cross-border real estate investment. Before tokenization, if you wanted to earn income from a high-quality property in a booming international market, it was a nightmare.
You had to set up complex international trusts. You needed significant capital commitment. You had to navigate foreign regulatory regimes.
And now an investor in Argentina can, with a few clicks, purchase a fractional share and immediately start earning income from a managed property in Singapore or Dallas. This allows for true geographical and economic diversification of your income streams. That's a privilege that was previously reserved for massive institutional funds.
And reward number 4 is arguably the most significant improvement over traditional real estate investment.
Liquidity.
Liquidity has always been the crippling flaw of real estate. You buy in and you are locked in. Private equity funds, they typically impose lockup periods of 5 to 10 years.
And if your personal circumstances change, too bad. You often have no access to your capital until the entire asset is sold.
Tokenization completely transforms this.
It does.
Since your investment is represented by these digital tokens, you can exit your position quickly by just selling those tokens on a secondary market. You're not required to find a buyer for the entire $1 million building. You just need to find a buyer for your $1,000 token share.
This ability to instantly trade fractional ownership turns a historically illiquid asset class into a highly liquid one.
It reduces that capital lockup risk significantly.
But is the market for trading these tokens robust enough yet? I mean, are we talking about highly liquid open exchanges here?
The secondary market is evolving very rapidly. While some platforms still use, private bulletin boards or dark pools to match buyers and sellers internally, the trend is definitely moving toward decentralized exchanges or regulated alternative trading systems. The key is the potential for liquidity, which fundamentally changes your time horizon as an investor from a decade to potentially just days or hours.
And finally, reward number 5, transparency. That cryptographic proof we talked about earlier.
Right, the on-chain recording of every single transaction, every distribution, every payment amount, every timestamp. It provides an unprecedented level of clarity. And this transparency, it builds trust. It empowers you, the investor, by giving you the tools to audit the platform's claims in real time.
So it's this combination of stability, efficiency, global access, liquidity, and auditability.
That's why these tokenized income streams are becoming so compelling.
Okay, we've covered the entire ecosystem, from the physical asset to the digital wallet. Now for the practical takeaway, the investor checklist. If you are a learner and you're looking at a tokenized real estate offering, this actionable framework provides the critical criteria you need to evaluate both the income potential and the safety.
In this framework forces you to be diligent on the financial reality of the asset, completely independent of all the digital excitement. We have 7 critical criteria that must be satisfied.
Number 1 directly challenges that projected yield. 1. Occupancy rate.
You have to verify that the property is consistently rented. High vacancy is the single clearest indicator of immediate cash flow instability. And you need to look for 2 specific data points here: the current occupancy percentage and something called the weighted average lease expiration, or WALE.
WALE. What does WALE tell us?
WALE tells you the weighted average time until all the current leases on the property expire. So if commercial property has a WALE of, say, 6 months, that means the entire income stream is up for renegotiation or replacement in half a year. That's massive near-term risk.
Whereas if the WALE is 5 years,
the income stream is secured for the medium term. Furthermore, you should ask to review the tenant credit ratings, especially for large commercial tenants, because their financial health directly underpins your income.
Number 2 verifies the reliability of the entire business plan. 2. Income history.
Does the project provide verified past financials? For an existing operating property, the platform must provide you with audited financial statements for at least the last 2 to 3 years. They have to show proven rental income, stable expense ratios, and net operating income.
And if they're selling you a stabilized asset, but they don't have historical financials,
you're buying a promise that's built on marketing copy, not on proven performance. Big red flag.
Number 3 is straightforward, but it impacts personal finance. 3. Distribution frequency.
Just clarify the platform's stated schedule. Is it monthly?
Weekly, daily. Make sure this matches your capital utility needs. And while daily is technically possible, you'll find many platforms opt for weekly or monthly cadence just to streamline the off-chain fiat reconciliation and auditing process, which ultimately benefits reporting clarity for you.
Okay, number 4 tackles that core technological assurance. It addresses that input manipulation concern we raised earlier. 4. Smart contract transparency and auditability. Can you, the investor, audit the logic that's embedded in the smart contract? You have to look for explicit links to the blockchain explorer, like Etherscan or Polygon Scan. The platform should also provide a recent, independent, third-party audit report from a recognized security firm like Certic or Hackett.
And that report certifies what exactly?
It certifies that the smart contract code contains no vulnerabilities and that the distribution logic is immutable and fair. If the code is proprietary or hidden, that is a severe failure of trust.
Number 5 prevents those surprise deductions we talked about. 5, maintenance reserves.
Is a robust financial buffer established for future major capital expenditures. You should demand to know how much is currently held in the segregated reserve account and what percentage of gross income is automatically allocated to those reserves each month.
And a healthy allocation is, as you said, about 10 to 15%.
Often, yes. If the reserves are not transparently managed or, worse, non-existent, the project is just structured for short-term yield maximization at the expense of long-term asset health.
Number 6 addresses that platform dependency risk. 6, platform reliability and regulatory status.
How long has this tokenization platform been successfully operating? What's their track record regarding security, smart contract execution, and successful distributions? Furthermore, are they operating under any recognized regulatory framework? Are they adhering to KYC and AML standards?
Know your customer and anti-money laundering.
Right. Regulatory compliance, while it does add friction, is a powerful indicator of maturity and stability. It mitigates the risk of a sudden operational failure. A newer platform will always carry higher execution risk.
And finally, number 7 requires you, the investor, to look beyond the local currency figures. 7, currency exposure analysis.
You have to identify the property's operating currency and be comfortable with the foreign exchange, or FX, risk associated with it. If you're receiving income in US stablecoins, but the underlying asset earns its income in, say, Swiss francs, you are taking on that volatility risk.
So you have to factor potential FX losses into your overall yield expectation.
You do. And you should only invest in cross-border assets where you understand the economic drivers that are affecting that currency pair.
This framework really provides a comprehensive filter. It forces you to focus on the boring, necessary details, the occupancy, the audits, the reserves,
rather than just the high advertised yield figures.
And the concluding note remains critical here. If any of these 7 checklist items are unclear, if the platform cannot give you transparent answers on certified financials or third-party audits, you have to pause. You must seriously reconsider. Transparency is the reward of tokenization, and opacity is a signal for high, unquantified risk. #tag outro. This has been a necessary and I think a really thorough deep dive into the tangible rewards of tokenized real estate. We focused on moving past the novelty of just fractional ownership and into the reality of generating reliable income streams.
And the core takeaway remains. Tokenized real estate income is a powerful, globally accessible, and highly transparent mechanism. But its success depends entirely on the financial health and the sound management of the physical asset it represents.
So your primary job as a fractional investor is not to blindly chase high-yield figures that are advertised in some digital forum. Your job is the diligent due diligence of a traditional real estate professional.
You have to evaluate the health of the underlying asset, the integrity of the input data, the stability of the platform, and the mechanics of the income flow.
Scrutinize that whale and demand to see those maintenance reserves.
Tokenization simplifies access, distribution, and trading, but it does not remove your responsibility as an investor for fundamental real estate and technological due diligence. It merely equips you with better tools to perform that analysis.
We really hope this framework empowers you to move forward as a more informed learner, equipped with the critical questions necessary to separate sound investments from speculative hype.
And as we close, we want to leave you with a final thought, building on those 3 yield types we explored today.
Considering the 3 types of yield rental, revenue share, and appreciation, we want to ask you directly, if you had to allocate your next investment into a tokenized property, which type of income would define your strategy?
Would it be the reliable, almost bond-like stability of fixed rental yield?
The volatile, performance-based upside of a revenue share yield?
Or the patient lump sum capital gain of appreciation yield? Think about your current financial needs, your time horizon, and your personal comfort level with risk. The answer to that question fundamentally defines your strategy in this evolving market.
Until next time, stay informed, stay curious, and keep diving deep.
1